There is no such thing as enough. Not in this world, not in war, not in life. You can tear down armies, drown cities in blood, and still the fire inside will whisper, more. You think pain is the limit? You think blood is the price? You think suffering has an end? You're wrong. The world has taught you to believe that once you've given enough, once you've bled enough, once you've sacrificed enough, you deserve rest. You deserve peace. You deserve to stop. But that is a lie. The truth is far darker. No matter how much blood you spill, it will never be enough. Not for this world. Not for your enemies. Not for your own hunger. You will bleed until your veins are empty, and still it will not satisfy the fire inside you. Because the moment you taste strength, the moment you taste victory, the moment you rise from the ashes, you will crave more. And weakness will never be forgiven. The world does not reward the soft. The world does not honor the broken. The world only bows to those willing to destroy themselves in pursuit of becoming something greater. Do you want strength? Then bleed for it. Do you want power? Then suffer for it. Do you want to rise above the rest? Then understand that every drop of blood you spill is only the beginning. Because sacrifice is endless. You think one scar makes you strong. You think one failure makes you wise. You think one night of suffering means you paid the price? No. You will pay again and again and again until everything soft inside you is burned to ash. That is the cost. That is the path. That is the truth. But most people will never walk it. Most people kneel to comfort. They beg for safety. They cry for mercy. They want strength without scars. They want victory without sacrifice. They want to be feared without first being willing to suffer. And that is why they remain nothing. Because this world does not bend to the weak. This world devours them. Your pain is not enough. Your sacrifice is not enough. Your blood is not enough. It never will be. And that is why you must become endless. Endless in your hunger. Endless in your will. Endless in your refusal to stop. No matter how broken, no matter how beaten, no matter how much of yourself you've already lost. The day you believe you've spilled enough blood is the day you die. Not in body, but in spirit. Do you understand what true strength is? It is not glory. It is not victory. It is not honor. It is the refusal to stop. It is standing in the fire and demanding more flames. It is bleeding out and still demanding more war. It is knowing that no matter how much the world takes from you, you will rise again, hungrier than before. This is why the strongest are feared. Not because they never fall. Not because they never bleed, but because no matter how much is ripped from them, they still come back with eyes that say, I am not finished. That is what terrifies the world. That is what makes you untouchable. Because you cannot kill a man who refuses to stay dead. You cannot break a spirit that refuses to stop bleeding. So I will say it again. No matter how much blood you spill, it will never be enough. And that is the point. Because the moment you accept that truth, you stop searching for an end. You stop begging for mercy. You stop waiting for relief. And you start embracing the suffering. You start weaponizing the pain. You start feeding on the very chaos that destroys everyone else. Your scars, they are not shame. They are proof. Proof that you were broken and yet still stand. Proof that you were cut open and yet still fight. Proof that no matter how much blood has been spilled, you will spill more if that is what it takes. Most people cannot understand this. They do not want to understand. Because if they did, they would have to face their own weakness. So let them fear you. Let them call you ruthless. Let them call you a monster. Good. Monsters do not beg for peace. Monsters do not stop at enough. Monsters consume everything, including their own pain, until nothing remains but power. That is what you must become. So stand. Stand when your body demands rest. Stand when your spirit begs to quit. Stand when your blood spills freely into the dirt and the world tells you you're finished. Stand and roar into the storm. I am not done. I will never be done. No matter how much blood I spill, it will never be enough. And then keep going. Because that is how the unbreakable are forged. That is how the relentless are born. That is how you rise above them all. The world doesn't need more dreamers. It doesn't need more cowards. It needs the ruthless. It needs the endless. It needs the ones who bleed and bleed and bleed again and still demand more. Because only they can never be stopped. But let me carve this deeper into your bones. The world is not waiting to crown you. The world is waiting to break you. It waits like a predator, circling, smiling, whispering sweet lies of peace, while sharpening the blade that will gut you. And if you are foolish enough to think that sacrifice has a limit, if you think there comes a point where you've done enough, then you will crawl into the grave willingly, and you will deserve it. Because nothing ends. Not the war, not the hunger, not the blood. Every step forward demands a piece of you. Every rise to power demands another scar. And if you cannot pay in blood, the world will take it anyway, stripping you down to bone and ash, until only the hollow shell of what could have been remains. Most people never survive this truth. They run. They hide. They convince themselves that weakness is human, that quitting is normal, that fear is wisdom. Pathetic. The ones who cling to those lies rot in silence, devoured by the very world they begged for mercy. But you must not be like them. Because mercy is not coming. Peace is not coming. Enough is not coming. The only thing that comes is war. So what do? You sharpen your soul until it cuts. You bleed and call it fuel. You tear out your fear and feed it to the fire. You learn to find power in the agony that should have killed you. You learn to rise from every loss, hungrier than before. You learn that scars are not wounds, they are weapons. And when the world looks at you, broken, dripping in your own blood, and says, "Stop, you've done enough," that is the moment you bare your teeth and whisper, "It will never be enough. I will not stop. I will devour everything until nothing remains." That is what makes you untouchable. But understand this, the path is endless darkness. There is no light waiting for you at the end. There is no applause, no gentle hand reaching to lift you up. There is only more fire, more war, more hunger. And that is exactly why you must keep walking it. Because every time you spill blood, every time you sacrifice more than you thought you could, every time you choose pain over peace, you are not dying. You are becoming something no one can kill. That is what terrifies the world. That is why they call you ruthless. That is why they call you monster. They need the word monster to make sense of you, because they cannot comprehend a being that refuses to stop, that refuses to surrender, that refuses to accept the lie of enough. So here is the truth you must carry. You will never arrive. You will never finish. you will never rest. And that is your strength. While the weak rot in their graves of comfort, you will keep rising. While the cowards hide behind their excuses, you will keep fighting. While the world bleeds you dry, you will keep demanding more. And that is why you will never be broken. Not because you are invincible. Not because you are untouchable. But because no matter how much blood you spill, you will spill more. That is the mark of the ruthless. That is the hunger of the endless. That is the truth of the unbreakable. So let the world tremble. Let the enemies gather. Let the storms rise. Stand in the center of it all and roar into the darkness. There is no such thing as enough. Not in this world. Not in war. Not in life. I will bleed until nothing remains, and still I will demand more. Because that is the way. The only way. The path of the ruthless. The path of the endless. You think sacrifice has an end? You think blood has a measure? You think pain has a bottom? No. There is no bottom. There is no final drop. There is no last scream. The pit has no end. And if you want strength, if you want power, if you want to rise above all the trembling cowards clawing at scraps, then you must throw yourself into that pit again and again, until even the darkness bows before you. The weak pray for peace. They beg for rest. They dream of salvation. Fools. There is no salvation here. There is no finish line. There is only the endless clawing forward, teeth gritted, body shattered, veins empty, and still reaching for more, because the hunger never dies. Once you've tasted what it feels like to rise from the dirt, dripping in your own blood, looking into the eyes of those who swore you would never stand again, you will crave it forever. And you will bleed for it forever. The ones who stop, the ones who whisper, enough, they rot. They choke on their own excuses. They let comfort smother the fire in their chest until they're nothing but husks pretending to be alive. But not you. You cannot stop. You will not stop. Even when your body is broken, even when your bones scream, even when your blood paints the ground beneath your feet, you keep rising. Not because it's easy, not because it's glorious, but because stopping would mean surrender, and surrender is worse than death. The crowd will hate you for this. They will fear you for this. They will curse you, spit on you, mock you, call you monster. Good. Let them. They need names for things they cannot comprehend. They need curses to hurl at what they cannot kill. They cannot understand someone who keeps bleeding and still demands war. They cannot fathom a soul that refuses peace, refuses mercy, refuses to be satisfied. And that is why you terrify them. That is why they will whisper your name like a shadow, like a nightmare. Because you are not playing their game. You are not chasing their approval. You are not bending to their rules. You are feeding on something they will never touch, the endless fire that grows only in those who never stop, who never rest, who never bow. Your scars are not the story of your suffering. They are the scripture of your defiance. Each line carved into your flesh is a vow. Each wound is a promise. Each drop of blood is a declaration. I will not stop. And so you rise again and again, dripping in pain, drowning in fury, and the world trembles. Because no matter how much it takes from you, you do not die. Because no matter how much it breaks you, you do not stay broken. Because no matter how much blood you spill, it will never be enough, and that truth has made you endless. You are not chasing victory. You are not chasing peace. You are not chasing mercy. You are chasing war. You are chasing pain. You are chasing the fire that forges monsters out of men, gods out of mortals. And if the price is blood, then bleed. Bleed until the rivers run red. Bleed until the ground remembers your footsteps. Bleed until the world itself bows, trembling, and admits you cannot be stopped. That is the abyss you walk. That is the storm you carry. That is the hunger that defines you. So let them fear you. Let them hate you. Let them curse your name. Because while they cling to comfort, while they drown in weakness, while they choke on the lie of enough, you will keep rising. You will keep fighting. You will keep bleeding. And when they finally realize that you cannot be broken, when they see that no matter how much blood you spill, it will never be enough, it will already be too late. Because you will not just have survived, you will have consumed everything. The weak believe blood is the end. The strong know blood is the beginning. Every drop spilled is not loss, it is proof. Proof that the body can shatter, but the will can sharpen. Proof that agony is not a prison, it is a weapon. And yet, most of you still beg for limits. You beg for an end to the pain. You whisper to yourselves, surely this is enough. Surely I've suffered enough. Pathetic. There is no such thing as enough. Not in war, not in life. Not in the pursuit of power that devours everything in its path. You want strength? Then let every scar cut deeper. You want dominance? Then let every scream echo louder. You want to rise above the trembling masses? Then let every wound carve away the weakness still rotting inside you. Because the flesh will break, the bones will snap, the spirit will be ground into dust. But if you refuse to stop, you will become something they cannot touch. Look around you. The world worships comfort. The world bows to safety. The world drowns in its own softness. They think survival is victory. They think breathing another day is glory. They think hiding from the storm is strength. Fools. Survival is nothing. Breathing is nothing. Safety is nothing. Strength is in those who stand in the storm, who let it tear them apart, who let it shred their flesh, and then rise from the wreckage, not weaker, not broken, but forged harder than steel. This is why blood will never be enough, because every battle only sharpens the hunger. Every scar only feeds the fire. Every death you defy only screams louder in your chest. More. And if you think that hunger can be silenced, you are already dead. The crowd will watch you. They will call you cursed. They will spit the word monster like venom, because they cannot understand you. And they are right to fear, because monsters do not stop. Monsters do not bow. Monsters do not whisper, enough. Monsters consume. Monsters destroy. Monsters bleed endlessly and still demand more. That is what you must become. Not a dreamer. Not a coward. Not another soft voice begging the world for peace. But a nightmare. A storm. A blade that never dulls, no matter how much blood it drinks. Do you think you will be loved for this? Do you think you will be honored? No. The world will curse you. They will carve your name into their nightmares. They will speak of you with trembling voices, not in reverence, but in terror. Good. Because fear is the only language the weak understand. Let them choke on your name. Let them burn in your shadow. Let them waste their lives hating what they cannot destroy. Because you will still be standing, drenched in blood, eyes burning with a hunger that has no end. So rise. Rise when your lungs collapse. Rise when your veins run dry. Rise when your body is nothing but scars and ash. Rise and scream into the silence. No matter how much blood I spill, it will never be enough. And let the world break on those words. Let your enemies drown in them. Let your rivals crumble beneath them. Because you are endless. Because you are ruthless. Because you are everything they fear but cannot kill. And when the dust settles, when the battlefield is quiet, when the world lies shattered beneath your feet, there will be no crown. There will be no throne. There will be no peace. There will only be the fire still whispering in your chest. More. Always more. That is your curse. That is your gift. That is your truth. No matter how much blood you spill, it will never be enough. And that is why you will never fall. And when they beg you to stop, when they fall to their knees and cry that you've gone too far, you will smile. Because they still believe there is such a thing as too far. There isn't. There is no end, no finish line, no mercy. Only the endless hunger, the endless blood, the endless fire that devours everything and everyone until nothing remains but your will. That is why you are feared. That is why you are cursed. That is why, no matter how many rise against you, they will all fall the same. Because you are not chasing power. You are power. You are the storm that never ends. You are the blade that never dulls. You are the monster that even monsters whisper about in terror. And when the last drop of blood falls, when the world itself is silent, even then, your fire will whisper the same word it always has. That is your darkness. That is your truth. And that is your eternity. No matter how much blood you spill, it will never be enough. And that is why nothing in this world will ever be enough to stop you.